Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm here to talk about some of my favorite things. Every quarter I sit down and share my favorite things with you in 10 different categories. The categories are reading, listening, watching, wearing, cooking, planning, pampering, cleaning, doing, and loving. And last quarter we did talk about potentially changing up some of these categories and whether or not I was going to continue these videos into next year. I would love to still hear if you have any thoughts about that in the comments below. If you want me to continue these videos into the next year. I know we're already talking about next year. I get it. Like, they're a quarterly video, so is it something that we're gonna do next year? And if so, would you like to see the categories change? Would you like me to just do 10 random things? Or is there another category that you would love to see added? I would love to hear your thoughts. But let's go ahead and kick it off with the category of reading. And I finally feel like I kind of got a reading groove back in the quarter, and then I kind of lost it a little bit. But I did finish a lot of books while we were traveling on our honeymoon. In fact, I got one book away from being caught up with my 2022 reading goal, and I share all of that in the monthly newsletter that I send out. So if you want to hear about my reading journey a little bit more up to date than just every quarter, I will leave the link down below for you to sign up for the email newsletter. It's literally once a month, the first Monday of the month, and it's very short. It's like a personal update, a goal tip, and then what did I read that month. And so I have a lot that I could talk about. I actually don't have a nonfiction book to share with you. There was nothing that really jumped out at me that felt like it deserved a spot in this video. And I actually read a lot of great fiction. Like, I could have talked about a lot of the books that I read, but I'm gonna pick the one that I like the best, which is Shocker, a Colleen Hoover book, but finally one that I felt like compared to the first couple by her that I read that I absolutely loved. And this quarter it was Hopeless. I loved it. It was just great. I have a really hard time telling you about books without spoiling things, but there's a lot about the book that I like. As with any Colleen Hoover book, there were some twists and some surprises. And if you are looking for another read and you haven't gotten to that one, or you haven't discovered Colleen Hoover, would probably rank this as my third favorite by that author. All right, the next category is listening, and I talked, I think it was last quarter, it may have been the quarter before that, about how I've been trying to be better about listening to more music and less like content, whether that content is YouTube or a podcast or Friends for the 800th time, like having music in my ears instead of something else. And so I've been listening to a lot of great playlists on Spotify, and recently I was listening to a lot of Disney to get myself excited for this Disney sing-along DJ night that I go to here in New York. That's absolutely the best, by the way. I'm gonna leave the link down below. That's not a favorite. It doesn't go into any of the categories, but if they have one in your city and you like Disney, highly recommend. Anyways, I was getting ready for this Disney night and I was listening to a Disney playlist on Spotify, and you know how Spotify will sometimes throw in stuff that's not part of the playlist. It's like radio based on playlist or whatever they call it. And this artist came up that has 3 albums where they create Disney mashups. So they take 2 Disney songs. I think because I love acapella, I'm also a sucker for a good mashup, but it's just so clever the way that they do it. Like, they take 2 or more Disney songs that go together. Like, they make sense in like the topic or the theme of the song, and they mash them up together, and I just love them. There's 3 of them. I created my own playlist that just has all 3 of their albums that I listen to all the time. That is what I have been enjoying listening to, one of my favorites from this quarter. The next category is watching, and I actually have like 3 things kind of to talk about in this category. The first one, I think I actually did mention in a favorites video, but just in case I haven't, it's back and I felt like you needed to know about it, and that is High School Musical, the musical, the series. If you are around my age, if you like High School Musical and or you like Olivia Rodrigo, highly recommend this show. Season 3 came back this summer. I think it's been great. Again, it's a very niche audience. You have to enjoy like a high school. It's basically like if High School Musical, the movie, meshed with Glee, but then they also have some of their own original songs. And like some of the ones from season 1 were written by Olivia Rodrigo before she blew up. So if you haven't watched it at all, definitely go back and like watch season 1 and watch it from the beginning. But I've also been really enjoying season 3. The second thing I want to mention likely comes as no surprise if you follow me on Instagram or have been on any of the lives, and that is So You Think You Can Dance. I am hesitant to put it in this video because I didn't love some things about this season, mainly the fact that I didn't get to vote. As somebody who loved watching So You Think You Can Dance with my high school friends back in season 1, single digit seasons, I loved that as soon as the episode was over, we would literally like pick up our phones and call to vote for who we wanted to vote for. and then the results would come the next week. This season, while I'm very thankful it was back, only the studio audience got to vote, and then the results came like that. And it just wasn't the same. Now, I am very thankful that So You Think You Can Dance is back in general, and it gave me a reason to sit and watch a show with friends again. Like, I would have my dance friends over and we all watch So You Think You Can Dance together, or even on the times that we couldn't be together, we would text about it. Like, that part of it was absolutely fantastic, and like, I missed that with my high school friends because that's what we used to do with So You Think You Can Dance. So from that perspective, that's why it's a favorite. The actual execution of this new season, not even close to being a favorite. Okay, this third thing hardly counts because as of the filming, I've watched one episode, but I have a feeling it's gonna be a favorite, and that is the new House of Dragon show on HBO. If you're a Game of Thrones fans, yeah, it's not Game of Thrones, but in my opinion, I loved episode 1. All right, moving on to wearing, and this is something I know that I have talked about before, but I have different versions or different items for you now, and that is swimsuits from Amazon. And I know I talked about them 2 summers ago when we spent the summer of 2020 at my parents' house on the coast, and I basically lived in my swimsuits. So those swimsuits I kind of wore out, and so for my bachelorette party, which was in January, that was a long time ago, I ordered 2 brand new swimsuits from Amazon, and I haven't really gotten to wear them since that. I only wore each of them once that weekend until our honeymoon, and I wore those 2 swimsuits a lot, and I love them both so much, to the point that one of them I'm pretty sure I'm gonna order another color in, because I got this white floral pattern, which is beautiful. I got it because it was very like bridal, but I really want that swimsuit in like a different color or a different pattern. But I love them. They fit so well. I feel so confident in them. If you watch my honeymoon recap video, I actually like took full body photos in the blue swimsuit as part of like when we were with the elephants, and I actually love the way those photos turned out. So I just am so thankful for these swimsuits. If you are looking for, now I know this video is going up in September and you're like, the summer is over, but like save the link or buy them and have them for next summer. All right, the next category is cooking, and either last quarter or the quarter before last, I told you about a YouTube channel that I love that has a lot of great recipes. I have found 2 new staple recipes that are part of our rotation from that channel. I will leave those recipes linked down below. Those aren't my favorites. I just wanted to make sure I mention them and tell you they're linked down below. My cooking favorite is not an actual object as much as a habit that I have been implementing now that that dance is back and that I'm going to dance 3 times a week. So one of the things that I do with dance, and I was actually gonna talk about this in the next favorite, but I'm telling you about it now, is when I hit a slump at like 3 or 4 p.m., instead of powering through or like taking a break then, and then maybe doing a little bit more work and then having to get ready and go to dance, I actually just go to Queens, which is where my rehearsal, at 3 or 4. I don't have to deal with people on the train, like commuting home from work. I don't have to worry about how long the train is taking. It just takes how long it takes. And then what I do, that's my break. Like I watch YouTube, or I listen to music, I read a book on the train. And then when I get to Queens, I just go to the Starbucks and I work at the Starbucks for the next 3-ish hours until it's time to go to dance. Now, when that is the case, when I do that, when am I cooking dinner? Like I cook dinner in our household because Sam's schedule is all over the place. So what I've started doing is actually cooking dinner for lunch, and it completely works. And my energy levels are also so much higher. Like, why haven't I been doing this all along? So like the favorite I guess I have in the cooking category is literally just cooking lunch instead of cooking dinner. So normally what I would do is I would cook dinner and we would always end up having leftovers for lunch, and now we just do it differently. Now I'm not having the same leftovers for dinner later that night. Sometimes Sam is, depending on when I cook lunch and when he eats, depending on when his calls are. But like I will cook lunch and eat it for lunch, and then for dinner I will have the leftovers from the lunch the day before, and it has been absolutely working for us. I know that might be very specific to us, but it's just one of those things that I feel like was something I never like thought to do. And so maybe it's not that exact thing for you, but something you can think of that's like, why didn't I think of that before? So the next category is planning, and same thing here. I don't have an object or anything specific to tell you about as much as a habit or really a mindset for me with planning this quarter, and that has been flexibility, which is almost feels like the opposite of planning. But for me, it's the flexibility of knowing that every day is going to look different. Like my AM routine might start at a different time because I went to bed at a different time. And then the amount of work that I get done might look different based on what else I have going on that day. What time I leave and go to Starbucks and work at Starbucks, like that whole thing I just talked about, right? That might look different than what time I get home and how much time I need to unwind. Some nights I get home from dance and I'm exhausted and I can barely make it in and out of the shower and I crash. Some nights I need like an hour to come down from like some energy high, and I go to bed much later than I would like. Every day is different, and so being okay with that flexibility has been huge for me. All right, the next category is pampering, and I do actually have an object for you. So before we left for our honeymoon, I asked Instagram for recommendations for a waterproof mascara because I knew I was going to want, mascara is like the one makeup thing that I love to wear and just feel confident. Like I could just wear sunscreen and mascara and like feel good. So I knew I wanted a waterproof one that I would be able to wear when we were just like, you know, when we go on the boat thing, or like, actually I didn't even think I ended up wearing mascara that day, but regardless, I knew I wanted to get a waterproof mascara. And my favorite mascara in the world, which I have mentioned in a favorites video, the It Cosmetics Superhero, does not come in a waterproof version. I do like the L'Oreal Lash Paradise, don't get me wrong, and I do like their waterproof version, but to me, the waterproof version of that mascara is not as good as the actual one. So I asked the internet for recommendations, and I got a lot of recommendations for the Essence Lash Princess. And I know that Jessica Braun, who is like the one beauty YouTuber I still follow and love, has talked about this mascara before as well. So I went to Ulta to get it, and my Ulta only had this 2-pack that had the regular version and the waterproof version. So I just got them both and thought, like, that's great. I will also take this one, and then if I just want to like touch up with mascara, instead of using my more expensive mascara, I'll use the less expensive non-waterproof one, and then I have the waterproof one. Y'all, I recommend them both. So first off, like this mascara, it almost holds a candle to the It Cosmetics. I will still likely use the It Cosmetics mascara for like special occasions, but like today, I actually have 1 coat of each so that's what I've been doing. Like on an everyday, I wear the Essence one because it is so much less expensive, y'all. I even buy my It Cosmetics from QVC to save money, but it is still a pricey product. So on an everyday, I'll wear the Essence. I will combine them. I'll do 1 coat of each when I like this, like I'm filming, but I'm not going anywhere else. And then if we're like going out or whatever, I will use my It Cosmetics Superhero. That's kind of how I've been operating. And then I've actually been wearing the waterproof one if all I'm doing that day is going to dance, because it's been so hot and humid in those studios this summer that the waterproof mascara has been a lifesaver. So, the price point cannot be beat. All right, the next category is cleaning, which is also the ing word for what I use as household items that I love. And the thing I'm gonna talk about is not inexpensive. And so I'm here to tell you now to like ask for a bunch of gift cards for the holidays or like save up, or if you get like a year-end bonus and you wanna treat yourself. This is an item that we got from our wedding registry that I could not wait to use. I was so excited about it. And that is the Vitamix blender. I thought it was gonna be overrated, and then I used it at my parents' to make smoothies. Like it blends, I can't even describe it. It blends things so finely that you cannot tell that you put that much spinach or that much kale. It's so magical. It also works so fast. Like it is done in like 2 seconds, which is really valuable in our household because the kitchen is right outside Sam's office, and sometimes I'm trying to make a smoothie and he's on a call, and so I've got to wait until he gets off the call because our doors have like there's like a big gap underneath them, and so he can hear it, and I'm not gonna blend the smoothie over his client call. And so, but he'll be like in between calls and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna make my smoothie, and it is done so fast, it's not a big deal at all. If you are a regular smoothie maker, I also know you can make other things on it like soup. I haven't tried any of that. So far, only smoothies. But if you're a regular smoothie drinker and you don't like your blender, this blender is amazing. Now, again, I know it's expensive. I got it from Costco. But what happened was my stepmom's like friends all got Costco gift cards and like put them together, and it was like I got the Costco priced one of it. It's absolutely changed my life. All right, the next category is doing, and this is for a habit that has been working for me in the last quarter. And if you watched last week's goals video, you may not be surprised that the habit that's been working for me is using the Pomodoro method. If you don't know what the Pomodoro technique is, it is a time management tool that encourages you to work for a set amount of time and then take a set break, and then work for a set amount of time, take a set break, and do that in cycles. And so the Pomodoro method is a certain number of minutes. So it's a 25-minute working period, a 5-minute break, and you do that. Once you do 4 of the 25 minutes, you get a longer 30-minute break. I use an app to tell me when it's time to move on. It's called Focus Keeper. I'm not here to recommend the app. That's not the favorite. There's a million apps that help you work through the cycles. The favorite is actually working through the cycles, because what I find is, especially when it comes to picking up my phone, and I know you can probably relate, is when I'm on for those 25 minutes, I know that my 5-minute break is coming and I'll get to check my phone then. So I don't pick up my phone and I just focus and I work for 25 minutes. And my 5-minute break comes, I get some water, I check my phone, all of those things, and then it's time and I get back to work. And then when it tells me to actually take a longer break, I actually get up from my desk and take a longer break. And hour-wise, I may be spending less time working now that I'm doing, like, minute-wise, because I'm taking more breaks, but I have never been more productive. So I highly recommend trying it. There's also a lot of research out there that shows that there might be a different time amount that's better for you. Like, some people can focus longer and then you take a slightly longer break. I'm not gonna mess with it. Like, this is what's working for me, and I'm gonna keep going with it. If you want to play around, maybe 25 minutes is too long or too short for you, you can absolutely do that. All right, the last category is loving, and this is just a catch-all for something that I've loved or am loving from the last quarter. And the thing I want to talk about here is spending time off of social media. So I spent an entire 2.5-week period on our honeymoon with basically nothing but iMessage, only when I had Wi-Fi on my phone. Otherwise, my phone was a camera for 2.5 weeks. And I could not have been happier. Now, I know that it's likely not feasible, especially given my business and given, like, keeping up with my friends and family that live in other parts of the country or the world. Like, that's not feasible on a regular basis. But it was so awesome and so good for my mindset that I want to do it more regularly. And so I'm trying to figure out what that looks like. For now, I'm just sharing in a favorite that, like, spending time off of social media on big trips like that was really beneficial and I really enjoyed it. And so I probably will always do that in the future, but I want to figure out how to incorporate it into my regular, like, every day. So I would love to hear down in the comments if you have found, like, a balance, and maybe it's 24 hours on the weekend, maybe it's a certain time every night, like, what works for you and what you've tried and what hasn't worked for you, because sometimes that's just as hard as figuring out what doesn't work for you. So that is my last favorite of this quarter. I hope that you found this video helpful and you enjoyed these. If you did, I would appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up. And if you're new here, please click that subscribe button. I upload new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, focused on helping you achieve your goals. Thank you so much for watching. It's blah, blah, blah. Like, their own, what's the word? There also is a lot of research